I suppose it's time again to check in on that lovable underdog of a comic book studio, Valliant Comics, see what they're doing lately. When last we left our intrepid superhero universe, Valliant Comics, they had cut their line back down to one comic book a month, the bare minimum, barely life support. We're still a thing, just barely, one comic book a month from Valliant Comics. How do we get here? Well, the long story short is they were a up-and-coming comic company in the late 80s, early 90s. They kind of rose to prominence, being the third biggest superhero publishing comic in the world, or company in the world. They sort of faded away with the rise of Image and a few other factors, relaunched in the early 2000s with brand new creators, big name talent coming in, relaunching their characters in prestige comic books and graphic novels. They looked amazing. They looked great. They were on top of the world, but they made some poor decisions, kind of gave into the quote-unquote woke culture a bit, brought in some less than ideal characters into their editorial staff. It tanked the line, and now here we are, one comic book a month, but they are still here. They're still trying to struggle and be a thing. And so what are they doing now? Well, let's take a look. And hell yes, X-O Manowar Unconquered is a perfect return for Valiant's flagship superhero. This coming to us from Screen Rant, and I can't agree more. If you are going to put out one comic book, and it's going to be the one your one shot a month to put something on the comic stands to get people's attention and to get those precious fans' dollars, this is how you do it. You take your flagship character, you bring him back to his roots, which are brutal and dark and gory, and then you just run with it and you say, you know what, if I'm going to go down, then we're going to go down with our best hitter in the box, and that is X-O Manowar, without question, my favorite Valiant character. I know a lot of people like Bloodshot. He's easily, in my opinion, he would be the second best Valiant comics, and there's a couple other ones that kind of hang in there, Ninjak, Shadow Man, all these others, but really, I mean, you got to go with your MVP, and it's going to be Bloodshot or X-O. And Bloodshot kind of had his chance. He was good but not great, so now we're going to go with X-O, and this article explains that we are going to be bringing X-O Manowar back to his roots. X-O Manowar, his original concept was he was kind of like a barbarian character, like he was a Roman soldier type of character in this space armor. It's like Iron Man armor, but this was a dark and brutal sci-fi comic, and this is going to be bringing it back to its roots. And look down here at some of the artwork, some of the promotional artwork they gave us from this book. So we got, again, the full image of the cover, and then we've got some of the pages from Liam Sharp here. This is amazing artwork. This looks great. I mean, again, if you're going to put out one comic book in a month, this is what you do. And this is the way I think is the good way to bring back your line, because what you're going to do is you put out one book, make it profitable, make it something people want to go out and buy, take that money, put it into the next issue, and then before long you got enough money to start doing 2 comics in a month, and then maybe 3, and then 4, and then before you know it, you've got a line again. And that's Valiant Comics' road to coming back, and it's slow and it's arduous, and you got to be patient and you got to do good work, and this is good work. I am so happy for Valiant Comics. I am so excited for this book. It comes out March 22nd. I will be first in line at my comic book store to get this book, and they got a little cover gallery down here. We'll take a look. These are the variant covers that are coming out. You got kind of this kind of cool looking leather bound looking cover. You got this more traditional old school the X-O Manowar that I remember from when I was younger, when the character was fairly new. You got this cool image of the villain here, and you got the more updated look of X-O. But honestly, normally when I would go out and buy a variant comic to a comic or cover to a comic book, I usually like to get the edition that's not done by the artist that did the interior, just because I kind of like to get multiple different artists' take on the character in one book if I can. But I have to say, this book here, this cover is amazing. I will definitely just be picking up the Liam Sharp cover because this looks just great, and I am very excited. Good for Valiant. I'm so happy to see a comic book company making good decisions and doing things that are just going to better themselves to the fans and do something that helps the comic book industry as a whole. Now, if you want to see Valiant Comic makes terrible decisions and do things that don't help themselves in the comic book industry as a whole, let's flip over to the Valiant Cinematic Universe side and look at that news, because they are launching a movie to relaunch the Valiant Cinematic Universe. Will be relaunched with who out of all the characters? Yeah, that's right. That's Faith. Faith is going to be relaunching the Valiant cinematic universe, and yeah, just like CBR says, Faith is the wrong hero to restart the Valiant cinematic universe. This is not a good idea. Faith, for lots of reasons. First of all, Faith is she's a lighthearted character. She is kind of flirty and fun and this fangirl character, and that's not Valiant. Valiant is a darker, supposed to be the more mature superhero universe. Faith is something that would be right at home in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of today, of just, not taking itself too seriously, lots of comedy, lots of jokes, all the bad things that comic book companies or comic book movies have become to be known for. And if Valiant wants to take itself away from that, then it needs to get away from Faith. Not to mention, this movie's already being sold as the first plus-size superhero, which is going to be the tagline that they're going to use to try to push this, which if you're a fan of superhero movies, that just doesn't interest you. It's not that you don't support the idea, but you need more than just the first plus-size hero. That doesn't do it. That doesn't get anybody excited. That doesn't get anybody want to go into the theater and see this thing. Not to mention, let's look at the other obvious reason Faith is not the best character to start a cinematic universe in. This is not a solo character. Faith, she's had a few solo series, and they've never done great, but she's part of a team. She's part of a team of superheroes called the Harbingers, and it's supposed to be a bunch of teens with these superpowers that are banded together and hunted down by this corporation led by another superpowered being, and there's a whole thing behind it. But yeah, that's what Faith is. It'd be like making a movie, that'd be like launching an X-Men franchise with a Jubilee movie. That's kind of what this is, and it just doesn't work. And yeah, CBR is exactly right here. This is not going to be a good step. This is not going to be what launches the Valiant cinematic universe into any kind of successful, stratosphere at all whatsoever. And if you don't have CBR on your side, then you have stepped in it, because CBR, they are as much shill as they can be. And before you think I heap too much praise on them for correctly identifying that Faith is the wrong superhero to restart the Valiant cinematic universe, let's go back to the year 2020. And Valiant should have launched its movie universe with Faith, not Bloodshot. So here we go. They're playing Captain Hindsight here. Let's travel back to the year 2020 when the Bloodshot movie came out and bombed, partially because it wasn't very good, but also because it came out right around the time of the big shutdowns from COVID. And their prognosis for the Valiant cinematic universe start with a Faith movie. So just a fun illustration of the groundbreaking journalism you get from CBR. But this actually does illustrate a point, which is kind of where superhero movies have come from and where they've gone and where they've been. So when in 2020, you're still looking at prime MCU. The Black Widow movie hasn't come out yet. It's flying high on Endgame at this point. So all that idea, that jokey, kind of lighthearted Marvel Cinematic Universe, they hadn't worn out their welcome with that crap yet. So yeah, they're thinking, hey, you should launch with Faith. She's funny. You can do jokes. You can have comic relief. It won't take itself too seriously. That's what people want in their superhero movies. And now here we are, 3 years almost later, the exact opposite is true, because that type of movie making, it's old, it's stale. Faith will feel like something that came out in 2018 and not one of the good ones. That's just what she is, unless you're going to radically change the character, which, again, also not a good idea. I believe you should stick to the source material if you're going to adapt something into a movie. But unless you're going to radically change the character, you have no choice. But she's going to be a jokey, lighthearted, funny comedy character. That's what Faith is. That's what she's always been. Yes, there's a ring of drama and everything else to her, but not really. That's not what she is. She's the comic relief of the Harbingers. And that's what you're starting your cinematic universe. This and this do not match. So obviously you have one side of the company who's making very good decisions, one side that isn't. And as I look at it, it looks to me like the side that's making the good decisions are the side with the least money to spend. So obviously they're the ones with their backs against the wall. They're the ones who are going to put out something good, because they're the ones that are fighting and clawing to try to get themselves back up there, to try to get those fan dollars, that discretionary income that's becoming less and less available for a lot of people to be given to their company. Sony's got more money to lose, and sadly, Sony's probably going to lose a few bucks on this one. That's just my prediction. The casualty to that is we're going to be robbed of what could be a really good and rich superhero cinematic universe in the Valiant Heroes, because they just decided to start with the wrong character. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's kind of this week in Valiant. So, what do you guys think? Are you excited for X-O Manowar Unconquered? Are you as excited for it as I am? Because I'm really excited for it. Are you excited for the Faith movie? Will you be seeing this? Do you think that she will be a good enough face to launch the Marvel or the Valiant Cinematic Universe, or are you on my side, which is this is a mistake, this is probably going to lead to a disaster, and unfortunately it's going to kill the Valiant Cinematic Universe before it has a chance to get off the ground? Let's talk about it in the comments below. While you're down there, do all the usual stuff. Hit like, subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. I would sure love to have you here, and that's going to be it. I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm sure we'll have much more in the saga of Valiant to come, and I will see you then.